to take our material today from a book written in 1914. The author was Paul Ellsworth, and the publisher was Elizabeth Town, who published many publications on practical Christianity, and it's from his book titled Direct Healing. So how to realize abundance. So Paul Ellsworth writes, before anyone can come into that life of self-mastery and of kinship of the world about them, which eventually we must be born into, we have to free ourselves from a subconscious taint which in one form or another touches nearly every human being. This is the idea that misfortune and poverty, sickness and death are natural to mankind, and that continued serenity of mind, health of body, and opulence of all good things are just too good to be true. Poverty, which includes lack of wealth, lack of health, and lack of love, is rooted in the subconscious. It consists of a race idea or a collective idea in the minds of mankind, built into the very matrix of everyone's soul, that we are a creation instead of a creator. As long as we believe that we were formed by an exterior power and that our life is directed and surrounded by manifestations of that power, even if we call it God or the infinite spirit, we are going to express in all that we do and all that we are this false idea. Poverty is the logical working out of a lie which we have accepted before we were even born from the people whose lives preceded ours. Perhaps personally, we should say probably we ourselves have lived in previous bodies and have helped create this false idea which now disturbs us. We don't know that that's true, but we do know that there are people who believe that that could be true. Now, Paul Ellsworth says it is a long stride from the mental attitude of the children of Israel who looked upon God as a personal champion of their particular race, a terrible being utterly beyond and above even themselves. His chosen people to the final realization of Christ that I and the Father are one, and yet this gap is the one which lies between us when we believe in the possibility of poverty and our ultimate and ideal condition when we know that we are a manifestation of a creative force, that we are love, we are wealth, we are health, and we are wisdom. We can as easily be separated from ourselves as we can from the opulence of infinite life. So he's telling us that we're surrounded in this universe by every good thing. But so few people open their minds to the good because we get so caught up and distracted by all the negativity that's going on in the world, all the negative stuff from politics and religion and all this terrible ways in which the mankind has learned to label each other rather than see that each and every one of us is the Spirit of God expressing life. The Spirit of God expressing life. There's only one life. That life is God, and that life is our life. We live because God lives in us. That's the absolute truth for all of us. So let's go back to Paul Ellsworth. He writes, but poverty exists in city and country, here and across the seas. The poor we have always with us, someone says. Apparently this is true, but in reality it is not. About us are people who are closing themselves unconsciously, of course, to that inflow and outflow of spirit, which is typified by breathing. Spiritually, they are shallow breathers, that when the disagreeable consequences of the lack which brings with it have permeated their inner consciousness, they will relax from the tension of fear or avarice or dislike which now grips them and will draw in freely the infinite substance. You would hardly pity the poverty of a person who lived in a great storehouse wherein were all the good things of life, as who kept their fists tight shut and refused to use any of the riches about them. So the problem of the cure of poverty, which all the civilized world is wrestling with in one form or another, reduces itself to the question, how shall a man express and make manifest the abundance which is now and always has been his? And the answer is simple. First, by realizing intellectually that we desire to express this perfect life and that it is natural and easy for us to do so. Second, by permeating and transforming our subconscious mind with this realization. And third, by practicing dynamic and formative spiritual thought, which is possible only to the person who has purged their conscious and subconscious mind of fear and hate and ignorance. So we must cleanse our mind, he's telling us. We must open our mind to receive the spirit of God's love and God's understanding and God's wisdom, God's light, which shines through each and every one of us when we open our mind to God and clears out all the old unnecessary things that we've learned to believe in that hold us in a diminishment of health and wealth and joy and happiness and love, and let ourselves be lifted up into that higher realm of thought that says, I am in God and God is in me. So let's go back to Paul Ellsworth. He tells us, let us consider these 3 steps individually. First, by realizing intellectually that we desire to express a more perfect life and that it is natural and easy for us to do so. After we have lived long enough at the mercy of events, after we have been buffeted and harassed by fear and accident and misfortune, there comes to us a dawning consciousness of the fact that we are not living the life we should live. Usually this comes first as a question. The question is, what is the meaning of all the suffering? What am I here for anyhow? Then the mocking thought arises, this would be a pretty fair world if I could make it over. I would be a king and a master of events. I would have abundance and there would be no troubles waiting around the corner. Now, at this point, race beliefs usually inhibit for a while any further advance. The spirit of truth is trying to drive us into the light to force us to learn through misfortune what we will not learn by any other method. And eventually there awakens within us the transforming realization, I am a king, the master of events of my own life. Intellectually, we begin to see that the spirit of infinite love, which is working in and through us, has nothing to gain by our suffering, and that except as we ourselves create it, suffering has no place in our life. We are beginning to realize that not only does the desire to express a more perfect life, but that it is the most natural thing in the world for us to do so. As long as this realization remains on the surface, that is our surface mind, and it's confined to the conscious mind, it is almost without effect. In other words, it doesn't do anything. So Paul Ellsworth tells us the great flywheel of subjective thought keeps on driving the machinery in the same direction in which it has been driving it so long, and until the subconscious is permeated by truth and regenerated, it will continue to manifest imperfections of various kinds. And so we read in the scripture that we must renew our mind. We must renew our mind. We must go through that transformation of mind by displacing the old negative thoughts, the old negative energies of mind, with the more positive and the more affirmative energies of mind and thought. So let's go back to Paul Ellsworth. He says, here's where a great many who have turned toward the light fail. For having conceived intellectually the possibility of this more perfect life, they fail to understand why it should not at once become manifest. In other words, people will say, I no longer believe in nor desire the old imperfect conditions, so why can't I drop them out of my existence? Why can't I get rid of the illnesses and the financial struggles and the loneliness and all those things? But he tells us it's because our intellect is only the little lever by which we can eventually, but slowly, turn the great subconscious forces in the direction we would have them take. For a time, we must battle against the momentum gathered during generations of evil or ignorant-minded people. In other words, evil is live spelled backwards, or live diminished, living diminished. But the collective consciousness believes in all these things. It believes in the poverty. It believes in the ignorance. It believes in the financial struggles and the lack and the limitation. So for a time, we must battle against it in our mind. The change can be very slow at first. Consciously, we will realize and will declare that we are a master of the forces and things about us, but ingrained fear and doubt will inhibit our perfect demonstration. When you would do good, evil is present within us. We are done with lack and limitation, but they are not done with us, and will not be until we have conquered them, but the fight is worth winning. So what he's telling us, in effect, is what the mastermind Jesus was teaching, that we're to be in the world but not of the world. Be in the world but not of the world. Don't believe in the things that the world tells us that diminishes our life, that diminishes the ease and the joy of life. Don't believe in the things of the world that tells us that we can't have something, or that lack and limitation and poverty and illness and loneliness are all things that are part of the human experience, because we are divine humans. We're spirit having a human experience. So the spirit of us, the intelligence, the power, the spirit of God moving through our mind, our heart, and our soul, lifting us into that higher level of thought, displacing all those false beliefs, the things that diminish us, that diminish our life experience. We can transform our mind through controlling our thoughts and generating within ourselves a greater discipline to believe and to think and to have in our mind thoughts and desires of good and more good. Paul Ellsworth tells us the terms auto-suggestion or affirmation and denial have been somewhat abused of late years. Great things have been claimed for them, and when used intelligently, there is no limit to their usefulness. But there are affirmations, and not all of them are quickened with power. In the first place, when you realize that your subconscious mind must be cleansed from error and permeated with truth, you will probably begin by attacking error as if it were a positive thing instead of being merely a lack. It is all right enough to deny various undesirable appearances, but it is better to put the emphasis on building up that which you want to express. To replace is to conquer, and you will not have to bother about destroying evil if you will permeate the place where it has seemed to exist with good. The great affirmations of the mastermind Jesus were of this positive and creative order. He said, I am the resurrection and the life. I and the Father are one. I am the life. He did not say, I am not death, but I am life. Make your statements to your subconscious positive and emphatic. Build up truth always, and the darkness of error and imperfection will disappear of itself. In other words, we must go into the realm of our subconscious mind, into the unseen, just as Jesus did, and that's why he called us to go into the closet. He said, go into the closet and let your mind contemplate your good. Let your mind contemplate God answering your prayers. Believe in your prayer and the answer to it. Go in your mind and accept this, affirm this, and you will see these things happening. Paul Ellsworth tells us the subconsciousness is the realm of emotions and the feelings. The vibrations of love and hate and courage rise into the physical and the mental from this great unseen reservoir, and the way back to the subconscious leads along the same track. We must feel our affirmations. In other words, we must feel them as true for us. We can't just say, I have overcome financial lack. We must feel the joy of having grace and ease in our finances. We must feel the grace and ease in being healthy and happy and feeling the joy of life, the enthusiasm for life. And when we do, those feelings, those positive, powerful feelings, impulsed by the love of God through us, will bring forth something wonderful in our lives. So he says that in the way back to the subconscious leads along the same track, we must feel our affirmations, those which are simply recognized and considered intellectually are practically worthless. You must state that condition which you desire to create so clearly and positively and convincingly, and you must hold to it so persistently that you live it for the time. So let's go back and let's look at this again. He said, you must state that condition which you desire to create so clearly and positively and convincingly, and must hold to it so persistently that you live it for the time. In other words, as we take it into our mind and see ourselves, get a feeling of ourselves feeling healthy and happy and prosperous and successful and filled with a sense of being loved and loving, that this will bring us into that condition. He writes, when you repeat, I am the resurrection of the life, and do it slowly and dynamically, holding your attention upon the fact that this is the profoundest truth, see yourself as a luminous and quickening presence, vibrating through and through the grosser mechanism of the flesh. When you say, I am one with the infinite and primal abundance, hold in your mind the idea of yourself as a perfect channel through which flows at its proper time everything needful and useful to you. We will find it. You will find that in arousing the emotions or feelings, certain phrases are much more potent than others. The simple and vibrant words of the Christ are singularly powerful in this respect, and you may use them wherever they fit your need. They will arouse that quickened conviction, which is the sure forerunner of success, and they are as true of you and me as they were of Jesus of Nazareth. They are true of every man, every woman, when they come out from the house of bondage. In formulating your own affirmations, be simple and direct and positive. You cannot state the truth too emphatically. That's why Jesus said very simply, I and the Father are one. And what did he say the Father was? He said the Father is spirit, not a spirit. The Father is spirit. So I am one with the intelligence, the power, and the spirit, the wisdom of life. That's what he was telling us. So we may find that statement, which profoundly thrills us when we first consider and ponder it, gradually lose its power over our emotions and convictions. Then we must state the same thing in a different way, experimenting by day and by night until we reestablish the current. In utilizing the power of affirmations, which is the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, is one of those most powerful affirmations, we will find that like a magnet, we draw these things to us. We draw either faith or we draw fear. But much has been said and written about faith. Unless we have faith, we will accomplish little on any aspect of life. If we doubt our ability to do physical things by the ordinary physical methods, we will not accomplish them, and we will do so but imperfectly. If, however, we have faith in our power to attract an abundance of all good things, through purely spiritual means, we will succeed to the uttermost. That's why the mastermind Jesus could say, if our mind is stayed on God, stayed on the good, then all good things will come to us with grace and ease. So it's up to us to understand that. It's up to us to believe it. It's up to us to know it. And it's up to us to accept it as the truth for us. No one else can accept it. No one else can think for us. And that's what this whole teaching of Jesus and Isaiah and Jeremiah and all these wonderful people throughout the ages has been about. That we must be willing to keep faith with God, keep faith with the good, keep faith with that which ensures the liveliness of the Spirit within us, the liveliness of the Spirit within us. Can we do that? That's why we begin this program with that powerful affirmation, from the light of God that I am, from the love of God that I am, from the power of God that I am, from the heart of God that I am. I reveal my truth to myself. Because so many of us walk around being distracted by all the things of the world that we really have no time to tell ourselves the truth, that we are indeed a powerful, powerful expression of God, that we're a powerful expression of the infinite, that God is infinitely individualized each and every one of us and incarnated within us its very own image and likeness of intelligence and power and spirit and strength. So we must take that time to strengthen our faith. Faith is the strength of the soul, and lost is the person without it. Faith is the strength of the soul, and lost is the person without it. So we know that faith, that's the strength of the soul, is a positive faith. It's a powerful faith in the good. It's a powerful faith that God does give each and every one of us an opportunity every day to realize that something greater, that greater life experience for ourselves. Just as the psalmist said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And Jesus tells us in the key to life, the Lord's Prayer, you give us this day, you, infinite intelligence, infinite power, infinite spirit, you give us this day our daily bread, and that bread symbolizes the joyful life, the wonderful life, and the abundant life. So let's realize that this is the truth for you and me and for everyone. Let's realize that we are life, that we are. That's up to us to say, I am the resurrection and the life. I am the resurrection of success and prosperity. I am the resurrection of health and love and kindness. I am the resurrection of a positive energy within me that lives life enthusiastically, because as I realize abundance, I am realizing the good. Because Jesus said, I have come to tell you that you may have life and you may have it more abundantly. But first you must realize this abundant life in your mind. And so it is. Amen.